This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com in review. What I'm looking at today is 2023's Run Rabbit Run, directed by Dana Reed. And this is a movie that, perhaps unfairly, will be compared to The Babadook, which, admittedly, it shares a lot in common with. Both movies are Australian. Both movies are directed by women. Both movies revolve around a woman and a child who undergoes some type of trauma. Though beyond that, these movies are not that much alike. And if you give Run Rabbit Run a chance, I think you'll really enjoy it, because it's genuinely not only a good movie, but, as I am very strongly implying, it is not like The Babadook when it comes down to it. And speaking of The Babadook, if you recall, that movie revolved around a woman and her son, and this book, The Babadook, which brought about this manifestation that was seeking to bring the kid to harm. The movie was very much an analogy for the torments a single mother can go through and how she has no real aid, be it from the state or other people, to really help her through a very trying situation. Thematically speaking, Run Rabbit Run is not at all the same. As I mentioned, it is very similar in that it revolves around a mother and her daughter instead of a young son. Though in the case of Run Rabbit Run, the daughter seems like she is being, I was going to say possessed, but that's not a great word in this context. It's more like a reincarnation type situation almost. Well, reincarnation with attributes of possession, in the sense that the daughter was fine until she was, I want to say 8. And she starts to seemingly know things that she shouldn't. In particular, she seems to know about the mother's sister, who disappeared when they were young. And this upsets the mother a lot, though not quite for the reasons you might think it does. But in any case, she is trying to understand what's happening with her daughter. And as the movie progresses, you come to notice that the mother is not well. Now, never mind, the child seems possessed, reincarnated. There's definitely something off about this child. But at the same time, the mother is very odd. And it's hard to understand why she acts as she acts at points. And there's one scene in particular, which I won't give away, that really illustrates how ill the mother is. Almost as if she feels she must pay penance for something. And as the movie progresses, it becomes very much about the mother as opposed to the daughter. While what's happening to the daughter is happening, she is for the most part fairly functional, considering the fact she is either reincarnated or possessed. But the mother starts breaking down, which in some ways is similar to the Babadook, because she started to break down as the Babadook took her over as well. Though, in the case of Run Rabbit Run, what's possessing the mother is guilt. Guilt over an action in her past that is catching up to it. It is a beautiful movie. It's gorgeous to look at. As I mentioned earlier, it's Australian, and it takes advantage of the varied landscapes in that country. And it's really clever. And as I said earlier, it is not The Babadook. I tend to be very cognizant when I compare movies that I try to lay out what one movie brings over another and what makes one movie good as opposed to another, and so on. Because I've read one review for Run Rabbit Run, and they did compare it to The Babadook. And as I've already said, on the surface, that's a valid comparison, because despite the similarities between the two movies, they're telling entirely different stories. That makes them particularly fascinating, perhaps even to watch together. I might try that, by the way. Throughout Run Rabbit Run, there's actually a rabbit. At some point I'm going to rewatch this movie because why that rabbit is there. It pops up in odd places at points, and it seems like the director is trying to say something with that rabbit. The mother's sister liked animals, but beyond that I don't see the point of the rabbit. And as much as it turned up, it seemed to be trying to be illustrative of something. What came to mind is that perhaps that rabbit represents the guilt that I mentioned earlier that the mother may be feeling, because in Australia, rabbits are pests. That's not to say people don't have them as pets, I imagine. I don't know. I assume some people do. But for the most part, rabbits are believed to be pests. And so the rabbit in this movie doesn't feel comforting and friendly in the way that rabbits typically do in movies. Here it's almost an oppressive presence. It's something that doesn't belong. In any case, Run Rabbit Run is really good. I don't even mind the title. It comes off initially kind of silly, but I think it works in the context of the movie. It's an enjoyable movie, it's well acted, it's well directed, it's well shot, and its similarities to the Babadook are worth noting, but at the end of the day, it manages to be its own animal. And isn't that really what we want from any movie? So what do you think? This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Review. Do you agree, disagree? Let me know down below. And as usual, consider a like or a follow. Peace.